Alright guys, what's up? And here's another tier list video, this time of Marleybone. So, if you haven't seen these yet, the same rating as I always have. I'll throw a picture of what areas I'm going to put on the screen. So this is the world map. I've added in kind of one area Big Ben and then the two counterweights, the clock towers. That is, I've added that as a separate area because this is like the final dungeon and the final stretch, and those should be weighted outside of like the Royal Museum in my opinion. And then I was tempted to do like the Spiral Door room, but maybe I'll just include that in Regent Square. One other thing before we get started is that I'm not doing Buckingham Palace in this because we're going to be doing that in, as if we click over here, we're going to be doing that in the, where is it? 4 dungeons. Where the heck is it? Oh, right here. Tale of the 4 dungeons. So that is where Buckingham Palace will be. And then, of course, at the end of this video, we're going to put Marleybone on here. And I have a hot take on Marleybone. But first, we have to go through all the areas where we think they go. Of course, A is our baseline. S plus is like amazing, best areas in the game. Anything below B plus, these kinds are forgettable to different extents. Now, I will say Marleybone falls under a lot of the problems that the first worlds have, the first arc is, and that is all of their areas look very similar, minus like one distinct feature. Croc, I talked about it, they're all hallways and tombs. Marleybone's all streets on rooftops. I think literally every single area is a street on a rooftop. And then, of course, as we get to Mushu and Dragonspire, those are all the same thing as well. Like, all the streets look the same. Which is different than Wizard City, and is different than a lot of the Arc 2 and Arc 3 worlds, where you can tell, I said Avalon last time, you can tell if you're in the high road, you can tell if you're in the wild or the weird. They all have a distinct, different, like Dundara, all different. Like, every single area is different. Some areas are underground, some areas are like a purple sky, some areas are more rural, some areas have like buildings and castles. Like, it's all different. In a lot of the later worlds, you know, Celestia and onward, they all look like that. But between Croc, Marleybone, Mushu, and Dragonspire, none of the areas are really great apart from a few. So that's why we're going to go through them. And if you think that my ratings are a little bit worse on this, that's why. I think the world as a whole is really great concept, poorly executed. And it was one of the first worlds, so what are you supposed to say? This came up with this stuff in like 2009. Anyway, now that's all over. It's been a few minutes. Let's just do this, all right? Let's do this. So we're just going in, I think, alphabetical order. Chelsea Court. Chelsea Court is off of, I think it's Digmore Station. And you know what? It's not great. It has a little clock tower in the middle that you just kind of, you have to go around at the clock tower, I think, fight some people up on those areas. I don't love this area. There's nothing really great about it. The clock tower is cool and all, but like, it's just a place on the, you know, it's kind of forgettable. I'm gonna put it in B. I don't think there's anything really super cool or distinct about it. And therefore, it's just a rooftop area that happens to have a clock tower. So yeah. Now we have our, you can see a little Big Ben down here. So this is going to be our Big Ben plus the counterweights. I think fighting in Big Ben is awesome. I think Meowiarty is a cool villain, especially with Sherlock Bones. I think it's such a great idea. Big Ben itself is literally just a tower. It's a dungeon where it's just a climbing. It's terrible. I hate it. So it gets a plus points for being Big Ben, and like the theming of it's really cool, and it gets a lot of minus points for being just the most boring wave after wave after wave kind of tower. So I'm gonna put it in B plus because it's boring, just like Chelsea Court, but at least it's Big Ben, and at least it has Meowiarty. Like, such a cool, like, Moriarty, Sherlock Holmes, Meowiarty, Sherlock Bones. Such a genius, actually. Pretty awesome that they came up with stuff like that. So now we have Digmore Station. I kind of like Digmore Station. There's that fountain in the middle. It's the first place you meet Sherlock Bones, I believe. And there's also, you know, that ticket station. You get to take the little trolleys everywhere. I actually kind of like this place. So I'm going to put this... I'll put an A. No, because it's not. There's not much to actually do there. I'll put in B. B plus. It's cool. It's not great. Like, A is like good. I wouldn't say it's good. I would say it's alright. It's pretty good, but not good. You know? Anyway, next, Hyde Park. This place, again, I think it's the first place you go? First, like, street you fight on? Super boring. The only thing that ever interesting happens here is I think you get ambushed when you go under this, like, greenhouse center thing. It's not a greenhouse, but, like, this center thing, I think at some point you get ambushed and the guy, like, drops down and you fight him under it. That's the most eventful thing that happens here. Otherwise, it's literally just a street road on a rooftop, like every other place in Marleybone. So for this one, I'm going to say pretty uneventful. B. Yeah. Alright, so next we have Katzenstein's Lab. This is one of the cooler places. It is a street rooftop, which is, you know, I don't love it. But at the end, you do have his little lab where you put the stuff together and you reanimate the wooden trinket thing. You know, the clockwork, I think it is. I really like that cool part. You have these big electric bulbs zap and you reanimate the clockwork. Because of that, like, I think that was one of the first areas where there really was, like, animations other than just, like, stuff disappears or picks up. Like, something actually happened. I think that was really cool. I remember seeing that for the first time, being really impressed. A+. It's a good spot. I like it. Not really impressive, but above average. I think that this part was like, holy crap, they can, like, actually do animations in the game. That's so cool. That being said, we now get to Knight's Court. And I think Knight's Court is kind of terrible. I think it takes a long time. The minions there are awful. There's nothing even, like, kind of special about it from what I can remember. Besides, like, Clock Tower, the thing you get ambushed. But, like, dude, the Knight's Court, I just remember being there forever. Even though they had, like, people helping me. It's just a long place and it's boring. And I don't like it. Newgate Prison. I really like Newgate Prison because when you get there, you chase Meowiarty, like, through it. Don't you chase him through the cells and stuff? Dude, so cool. Again, like, these event type things, like animations, events, whatever, let's call them events, right? They change the way you play the game. You're not just, like, walking on a street going back and forth between collect quests and defeat quests and a boss. Like, this actually feels like there's a story here somewhere. And, like, it makes you pay attention to the dialogue more than, like, just, like, dialogue at the bottom of the screen. I'll just spacebar through it or whatever. Versus, like, oh my god, we're chasing him. Like, it feels impactful. And because of that, I'm really tempted to put it in S. And also, because it has, like, the prison areas, where you, like, go down the prison, is not as much of a rooftop area. I think just because of the event of chasing Meowiarty, it's going to go in S. Because that was just, like, amazing. And I wish they did more stuff like that through the game. Alright, now we have Regent's Square. Of course, the hub area for the world, the oasis for the world, the commons for the world. And Regent Square it's alright. It's supposed to be like the middle of, like, an England type area, of course, wherever Sherlock Holmes lives. And it's not bad. It has a fountain, it has a few shops, but it's not as impressive as the oasis is, and it's not as iconic as the commons is. From the oasis, you can see, you know, the Crocus Sphinx, the pyramid, and then you can see the Tomb of Storms. And they're all distinct. They're these big, massive landmarks. You can't miss them. From here, if you look in the distance, you see a blimp. If you look in the distance, you maybe see Big Ben. It's not as, like, there's a lot of, it's kind of a maze sometimes, even though it's a square, I know, but I don't love it as much. I'd say it's good, you know, and that might be a little bit of, you guys might be like, oh, Regent Square. It's just not as good as the Oasis for me, and it's not as iconic as the Commons. So it's going to go in A, as good, not bad. Royal Museum, A+. Not much to do here, obviously, but you have some relics from Krokotopia. You have, I think, one relic from Azteca. This is how you get to Azteca, is through this. But it's the hub for the last place in the world. I said the game like this. It's the hub for the last place in the world. And there's some cool stuff here. I love that, like, yeah, I guess these people from Marleybone are explorers of places like Croc, because when you get to Croc, you see a Marleybonian dog explorer. It's the first Sergeant Talbot, right? I think is the first person you talk to, besides maybe Xanae or one of the Manders. But it's so cool that now they kind of connect the worlds like this, which I don't think we see a ton of in later worlds, but super cool. I love the Crocotopia, and then a little bit of Azteca to say, like, we're explorers. They go out, they invade, they take these artifacts and bring them back, and it makes sense. That's how the world is. Unfortunately, maybe the artifact should have stayed in the pyramids. This is not a debate. It's really cool though. I like it a lot. Scotland Yard. So I'm gonna have this be both the Scotland Yard roof, like the actual part where you talk to Watson up top, but also like when you enter and you see that like guard in the little tower, and then behind them there are little mini prison cells. Super cool. And then you go out up top in the roof, and there's Watson. There's some more prison cells and stuff. So I actually kind of like this area. I think it's so hard to say if it's A or A+. Is it better than the Cat's Lab animations or the Royal Museum? I'm putting A. It's good. It's just a cool area. It's unique. It's distinct. It's not just a rooftop. There's like other character to it. So I'm putting it there. The Ironworks. God, the Ironworks. Again, a rooftop where you just like fight things. And I guess it's a dungeon, and it has this little area in the middle where you have to like dodge the big fire guts or whatever his name is down here. And then you go and you knock on the door with the secret password. And yeah, I know, I've done it multiple times. I just don't know if I like, it's just boring. It's just a rooftop, man. Like, there's nothing like the places up here have exciting things. You reanimate the golem, or you know, the clockwork. You chase cats, like literally you chase them in the story. You know, this place is a cool museum. Regent Square is like, you know, it's a hub where usually the hub areas are really good. You know, Scotland Yard is like a prison. You see the prison person. You can talk to the guy in the cell. Like, it's just, there's something there to do. And I feel like this is just a time filler dungeon. I just don't like that. It's nowhere I'd hang out. You know, I don't even want to screenshot of this area. Some of these areas I love screenshots of. I love playing through them. This area is just a drag, dude. I'm going to put that in... I'm going to put it in B. I'm even tempted. If you didn't knock at the door and like barge in with the secret password, I'd put it in C. But it's not super boring like Knight's Court. It has something that is distinct about it. So I'll put it in B as like you're kind of trying and getting there. And again, I want to say that they do get better at it. The later worlds definitely, like if they remade Marleybone now, it would be one of the top tier worlds. And I think nostalgia speaking, when a lot of people rate as one of their favorites, because I know one of my friends, it's his favorite world, and he's gonna hate some of my opinions on it, but it's just not as interesting. Like Croc, amazing idea, poorly executed. Same thing with Marleybone, same thing with Mushu. And Dragonspire, I don't think the idea is as solid, but it's poorly executed. And then you get to like Celestia and Zafaria, and they're just so awesome. Every area is cool there, except for two areas in Zafaria, which are like the waterfront and that other stone town, I think, which are like literally the same area copy pasted. Again, but that's what these worlds are like. It's the same darn area copy pasted with like one thing changed right here. So how am I supposed to rate it highly? And now we're gonna switch over to rating the whole world. And again, I find it hard to rate this world highly. You know, I don't think it's above A. I can't put it in A. It's a good idea, but it's just so boring to play through. And even if it's the shortest world in the game, maybe Polaris is shorter, but even if it's like one of the shortest worlds, and it's so terrible and boring, and every area I go to looks the same. You could plop me down, I wouldn't know where I was half the time. And I just don't think that makes it fun to play through. Now, I'll say it a million times, because I know you guys are going to comment it. I think it's a great idea for a world. I think if remade, completely remade, not retextured, completely remade, the whole thing. Like, you know what I'm saying? Everything's remade. No more, like, Knight's Court is not traipsing on the rooftops. It's like, I don't know, an underground sewer or something. Like, completely remade. I think this is one of the cooler worlds, in theory, but in practice it's not. The real question is it better than Croc? Worse, I think it's A, B, B plus, or B. Again, I don't script these, so I have to figure it out now. Is it better than Croc, worse than Croc, or the same as Croc? And I think it has a better story with Meowie Artie. It has better characters with Sherlock Bones. The hub world of the Oasis is better in Marleybone, and you have to take the hub world into account a lot, because to get anywhere you have to go through that commons type hub area. So the hub area is huge, and it's your first thing when you get to a world. It's really impactful. That being said, I don't know. This is really tough for me, because I do like Marleybone, but I also hate Marleybone. I'm really tempted to just put it with Croc as like really good idea, poor execution. But I don't know. Maybe nostalgia speaking, because I don't know. It's definitely not A, I think. So it's either better than Croc or worse than Croc. Okay, Croc was boring too, so I'm gonna put it with Croc. I'm sorry, Marleybone fans. I know you guys love Marleybone. I do too, but it's not good compared to some of these later worlds. I'm thinking like Avalon specifically. I really like. Oop, I clicked. I think Grizzleheim's really good. Grizzleheim falls under some of the same problems as these two, but I think it's better. Celestia's super good. Like, you think about stuff like that, how every area is distinct and awesome, and then you think of like these areas, and it just doesn't do it for me. So yeah, this is where I put it on my list, and you guys saw where I put all the areas. Let me know what you think, because I think you guys might disagree, but I think I laid out my opinion. Again, this is totally opinionated. I think that I laid out my opinion pretty clearly. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Next is going to be Mushu, of course. I actually really love Mushu again. I think it's such a great idea for a theme. We'll see how some of the areas line up against some of these areas. Yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys later in the next video. Bye.